Oh, my God, son, what the hell are you doing?
364 more days till next year's hockey tryouts. I gotta toughen up.
Only there you shall find the master.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, you're the one. Man,
Who's the one and only master?
Have you heard of .com? The meaning of it all.
It's more than just a clothing label, it's a way of life.
The inspirational connection.
Capture my vision exactly the way I want it,
The dedication.
then inspected, captured in the end product.
FrankieK.com. What you've been waiting for is now here.
Secretary bird.
Yeah, a secretary bird, but they're also known as a Sagittarius.
Okay.
But these birds actually have very long, gorgeous eyelashes. But the way they kill, so they eat snakes, and the way that they kill snakes is they literally like take their talon, they have like a little hook on the bottom, and fucking like stab it like that.
No.
It's fucking sick. Gorgeous bird, and they're very tall.
Where do they live? Oh, Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. That thing looks like an angry Cruella de Vil. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what they look like.
Now the beak looks like it curves in.
Because then that's how it catches it once it's done.
Ninja Eagles. That's what they. That's what it says. Ninja Eagles on stilts. That's great. Did you see the new ninja shirts?
I forget what. It was
So-
like Clark is on the roof.
It says "Ask me how I'm a ninja" or something like that, and you put it up like this, and it has eyes right here.
Oh, that's
No, it
funny.
was sick. Like it was called for, but
Baby.
it got really, really, really
So it's-
ratchet. We threw I used to break plates.
There was a very.
He buried it right in here. His door. Yeah.
My brother has a picture.
Good job, baby.
My brother has a.
Oh my god, now it's not
Yeah,
his
it's like you won't break that.
So cute.
So let's start off with something.
Sure.
I want to start off with like your Instagram and everything, so people know. Maybe they can look at some work while we do this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
What is your Instagram? If you
Mine?
remember, because some people don't even remember it.
I changed it recently.
Oh, cool.
So it's Caroleeenuh Tattoo,
Okay.
and it's spelled CAROLEENUH.tattoo. Emphasis with the E's because otherwise people would call me Carolina.
Caroleeenuh.
Exactly.
Like Amanda.
Exactly. So I thought it'd make it easier for everybody and for my sanity to add emphasis on the E's.
That's pretty. I guess that makes sense. So that's the thing. You have a unique ability. It's not like everybody does the same thing that you do. I'm not saying that people don't have the same job that you do, but it is unique in the way that people can actually change their life with it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that sense, it's extremely important to understand that
It's like you were getting broken up.
there are ways to, I don't want to say manipulate, certain places that you're in, but get out of certain places you're in because you've dealt with people who have had cancer. You've dealt with people who maybe have, how do you say it, alopecia?
Alopecia.
Yeah, I can never say it right. So, the alopecia, right? So, and that actually messes with people's mindset. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, absolutely. It's definitely psychological.
Because if you think about it, how many people nowadays you see things as everybody looking at everybody else only through a physical aspect, and it's getting worse.
It's tormenting because a lot of it then follows with judgment
Yeah.
and ignorance. So whether it's eyebrows or areolas, somebody could judge like somebody's face because they don't have eyebrows, or they have their eyebrows penciled in but it's like a whack job. It's like, yeah, you can judge them at face value, but maybe you don't know that person's story. you know, maybe they can't pencil on their eyebrows straight because they have Parkinson's.
Right.
A lot of my clients are older and have these diseases or disorders that, you know, cause hair loss or just cause instability or in terms of loss of vision, so it makes it challenging. But yeah, no, to say the least, it's something that changes people for the better. You know, it's, at the very least, it's physical, and then, you know, it does get, there is emotional parts to it, and there's definitely mental components to it as well.
Yeah.
So I think at the very least, you know, you see the physical, and it's something that I think is great for people to have.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like getting cosmetic tattooing, you know, is what I do. For me, I feel like I like doing it for the emotional response, and just to see like how that person's mentality on how they view themselves shifts into something more positive.
Right.
I've had clients more often than not that end up crying because they're so happy, and even though I've been doing this for 6 years, it still gets me every time, because it's like, I had a job prior, I was in banking, and I remember being a teller and making people cry because I would tell them that I couldn't take their car payment because the bank's on their way to repossess it, and getting paid garbage for it.
Right,
To now have a career where I can essentially do what I want because I get to be creative, but I get to work with the most amazing people that trust me. Being able to have that kind of emotional response really triggers something inside of me intrinsically, because then it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm making a difference in somebody's life in a positive way. So,
well, I mean, imagine something like this. Imagine to the point where you see, anybody can see, like, okay, the animal got saved, right, on Instagram, or, you know, and everybody can cry about it. Everybody can, you know, you feel that emotional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, but then it's done. Everybody saw it, and it's done. That's an everyday occurrence for you, because it's a new, I mean, quote unquote, monkey every day. It's a new animal every day. It's a new person every day, which means it's a new story every day. Not even every day, every hour, every 2 hours, right? Like, and you get that.
Even after I'm done working, people leaving reviews or, you know, messaging me and letting me know, like, you know, the next day when they wake up and they have like a part of themselves that was taken from them, and they don't have to worry about it anymore. It always makes me emotional, no matter if I'm working on them or leading up to the appointment or even afterwards. It's something that I think is. Don't mind me, I tend to trail off a little bit.
No. That's the whole point of a podcast, actually. Yeah. There's no rules to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you keep going.
No, but it's something like you said, like it's a new monkey every day, and it's just so gratifying to be able to do, because it's not just like a one and done, like you said, like I get to do it all the time. So. And
the thing is, like, yeah, you might hear reoccurring stories, right? Like, it's possible, right? But no story is the same. Like, it's crazy how, like, one simple detail can completely change a story, because it really is a different person. It really is a different story. Similar story, possibly. But the emotion attached to that story, to that person, it's not the same as the person before. Because everybody feels differently. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody has a different reaction to a different story. And you are there to fix it, which is fucking dope. Like, it's dope. So, what's one of the hardest ones that you had to do?
What do you mean by hard?
Huh?
What do you mean by hard?
Emotionally.
We switched the A with a U.
Probably my client that I not only did microblading on her, but after. Actually, I'll just tell you the whole story.
Go at it. So, we're here.
So this one client, she originally came to me for microblading, and she seemed like a very awesome person to work with. So the moment that she sat down and we started working together, she opened up to me as to how she got to my chair, and she said, you know, she was diagnosed with breast cancer 7 years ago. So she lost a lot of her hair from the chemotherapy and from recovery. So she felt like she needed a part of her life back.
Right.
You know, it started with her eyebrows. She then started to share with me about how she had a double mastectomy. So it was removal of both the areolas to remove the cancer.
Yeah.
And she then had skin grafting done, where the surgeon took skin from her groin and put it on her breast to try to create a realistic areola. Even though it's not like a quote-unquote, it's not your areola, it's something that makes it look like it. Like it's a substitute, okay? Because at that point, it's a mental thing to be able to see yourself and be like, okay, like, yeah, I had surgery and I have these, you know, these scars, but at least I have something there to look like an areola, even though it's not. So it was done. She wasn't too happy with it from the beginning. Just there was discoloration. It faded pretty quickly, so she's just left with like a three-dimensional, like, like a nipple, so to say, right? So she told me, she's like, I've been looking for somebody who does areola restorative areola tattooing. She's like, but you know, given the trauma that I've gone through for 7 years, she's like, it's so hard to trust somebody. She's like, because you hear botch jobs all the time that happen. And she's like, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people, like a lot of surgeons aren't emotionally attached. They just want to get the job done, so they don't really care. And they can be sloppy with the skin. So she was like, yeah, I'm in search of somebody. And little did she know, you know, it was actually something that I have been studying to do for quite some time. And I mentioned it to her. I was like, well, how would you feel if, you know, I did them for you? And she immediately was like, absolutely. Yeah. So, because she saw the work that I did on her brows and she loved it. So she's like, you know, I've been following you on Instagram for a while. I've seen your artistic work. I absolutely trust you. Right. And I told her, I was like, you'd be my first patient. So she was like, no problem. She mentioned to me from our first session of microblading that because of the trauma she went through, she is physically unable to cry. Because she's just cried so much from being diagnosed. And even throughout recovery, like, she's just not capable of doing it. So when I showed her her eyebrows, she said to me, she's like, if I could cry right now, I would. She's like, just know that I am inside, but I'm not physically able to show that. She's like, but I feel amazing.
That's crazy.
So I'm sitting there, like, watery-eyed, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'll cry for you.
Yeah, I got it.
I'll take care of it. So we had arranged to make an appointment about 2 months later for me to touch up her eyebrows, because with cosmetic tattooing, there's typically 2 sessions involved. And she came to me, we touched up her eyebrows, and then we worked on her areolas. And it was hard because, in an emotional way, because I knew her story, and I knew that this was the last step. You know, when you get restorative tattooing done, it's the last step of your journey, and it's usually the most uplifting because it's the opportunity for you to get a part of yourself back. Right. So while I was working on her, you know, we were just chatting more and more, and she's opening up about how she discovered how she had it. Okay. And again, just like the emotional and the trauma that she went through. She was telling me about how she was really self-conscious about her hair loss because she just lost all her hair on her head, on her brows. So she was telling me how, and this is like like she was telling me this and she didn't see me, but like I'm crying as I'm tattooing her. Her sharing this with me, but she's like, she ended up going on, I think, one of those Good Morning shows, like the Today Show or something like that. They were doing a segment for breast cancer survivors, and you know, she as well as like hundreds of other breast cancer survivors went to go on the show, and she had bought her wig with her, and she said it was really uncomfortable. She didn't like it. She met these 2 women that went completely bald, and they couldn't have been any happier. You know, and they were talking to her, and she was saying, like, you know, like, don't you feel weird, like, going on public TV, like, with no hair? And they're like, no, absolutely not. Like, this is our journey. Like, we survived it. We're warriors. Like, let's rock it.
Wow.
And she said right then and there that she took off her wig, threw it in a dumpster, and went on live television completely bald. And she was like, it was the first time I've ever done it. She's like, but I felt so empowered because I had all these amazing group of women supporting me. And then she's telling me this, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, nobody, like, all right, nobody knows, like, unless she had said that, right? Like on like Good Morning America or something, or wherever, whatever show it was. Nobody knows that she tossed it in the garbage can for the first time unless she tells somebody that, right? So everybody could be saying that, yo, she's rocking this, she's embracing this.
But nobody knows that it's her first time doing it.
Just
live
did it.
right now.
Yeah. She just unbuttoned the pants, okay? Like, we're going. And it's just like, damn, holy shit. That's amazing, though. Because
it is.
that's nuts. And it's really hard for people nowadays to embrace things because there's such a comfort zone that nobody steps outside of to hit. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want, like, they want growth, but they want it in the comfort zone when people don't really realize that growth is on the outside of that comfort zone and it's awkward.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's no growth in comfort, period. That's my life saying.
Yeah.
But so when we were done, you know, I was nervous, you know, because no pressure, but I showed her the results and she started to cry.
The one that
said that she couldn't cry. So she started to cry. She's like, excuse me, I need a minute. And I'm just like, nope, I'm right there with you. And I start crying with her. And I was just like, holy crap. She was like, you have no idea the amount of psychological damage you just reversed. And I'm just sitting there like sobbing. And she's like, oh, Jesus. She's like, thank you so much. She's like, I really feel that it was like meant to be that we came across each other. You know, from start to finish, from the consult to now, everything's just been a breeze working with you, and you're so easy to talk to and so personable, and it's so clear that you're passionate about what you do. She's like, so I'm so blessed and fortunate that we came across each other, because I don't think I ever really would have felt the same with anybody else. And she's like, whether it was my brows or my areolas, she's like, you gave me a part of myself that cancer stole.
Did you know when you started this that it would change lives like that?
Yes. So the way that I got into this was about 6 years ago, 6.5, 7 years ago. I was living in Palm Springs, California, and I was a bank teller, miserable at 21. No idea what I wanted to do in life.
Happy on the outside, miserable on the inside.
Well, actually, at that point, I couldn't hide it. I was so miserable on the outside too.
Oh, wow.
I was so miserable. So I came across a pamphlet that was advertising tattoo removal, and it was done at a Medi-Spa in Palm Desert. And this pamphlet was also saying, you know, you could take this course to learn tattoo removal and other services such as cosmetic tattooing. And that was like the first time that I registered that this service exists. So I met with the owner of the Medi-Spa, who's my now mentor, Guadalupe Ponte, at the Scar Treatment and Recovery Center. And I was telling her I wanted to do the course to do tattoo removal. And she said, well, that's cool and all, but how rewarding is that to just be removing somebody's mistakes? She's like, what if I told you that you can do a service that can change somebody's life for the better? I was like, okay. So she said, I'm working on a patient who has alopecia, and I'm going to be doing eyebrows on her, so you can sit in and watch on the procedure. So I sat there and watched, and you know, from start to finish, the client came in with nothing, left with a full set of brows, and she actually started to cry herself. So that's when it hit. That's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, that's what I want. I want to make people cry for the better, not for the worse.
Right. There's already too many people crying for the worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. I had it to an extent. I knew that it would change some people's lives, but it wasn't until I started doing it that I really felt that within me, because I was doing it. I wasn't watching somebody do it.
Right.
To know that I could do it was so much more rewarding.
How long was that? How long was that course or the schooling that you had to do that?
8 months.
8 months. Okay.
So I learned how to do, and when I say tattoo removal, it's more of like a old school, like outdated technique where you're actually not using lasers at all. You're still using essentially the same setup as a tattoo machine and when you're tattooing, but you're creating this solution that will create, when it's inserted into the body, it creates a chemical reaction with the metals inside the ink from the old tattoo. And when the procedure is done, it'll start to scab. When that scab is flaking off, it removes the metals with it as well. Because essentially what we're doing is creating trauma to the skin, and by doing that, it encourages new collagen and new skin cells to grow. So it pushes all that old skin out to allow that new skin to grow. So it's really, I mean, it's interesting, but we have lasers to do that now, and it's a lot more effective. I mean, they're both equally painful from what I've heard.
Right.
So I didn't really follow up with that at all. I didn't really care, especially since she said, like, there's no intrinsic reward from that. The course also taught scar revision, which is suppressing the appearance of scars, whether it's like surgical or accidental. So like, let's say somebody has a raised scar from surgery. There's certain techniques that you can do with needles to, again, create trauma to the skin and encourage new collagen to grow, and then to eventually surface, to try to level that scar out to the skin. So it's not removing it, it's suppressing the appearance, so it doesn't look so bold and prominent.
Almost like a type of blend.
Yes.
Okay.
And same thing with like any kind of stretch marks or any kind of skin that's kind of like superficial. Okay. You're again creating trauma. It's allowing new collagen to grow, and then that new skin will start to level itself out. So it kind of, again, just surfaces and makes things kind of look the same.
Right.
So I like that as well, but I was nervous because of the fact that like that skin is already compromised, and I don't want to take a chance to making it worse and keloiding it. So I took a step back from that part of the course, and it was the permanent cosmetics that I was really interested in because there's an art to it. And I've been painting, I've been doing art since I was like a little kid. Apparently since before I could walk or talk. So it was very natural, according to my mom.
Yeah, especially if you don't remember it, right?
Yeah,
like, okay.
yeah. So that to me made the most sense because there's an artistic component to it. So I learned about color theory. I learned about the Fitzpatrick scale, which is a scale in which everybody's skin is put in like a range of like 1 to 7. So it talks about like fair skin, olive tones, more melanated skin, and just what to expect with like their undertones, certain colors when they're applied, what to expect when they heal, if they heal warm, if they heal cool.
Yeah, get your
Wow, so it goes up and like it really hits all the range, all the motions, and wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So skin color, actual, I guess, I don't, feeling, sensation, all that stuff. Wow, okay.
Redness of the skin, you know, whether you're going to bruise easily or not. The Fitzpatrick scale is very helpful in determining that. So I learned how to do all sorts of permanent cosmetics, but to me it was the eyebrows that meant the most because that literally creates expression to your face. If you've ever seen anybody without eyebrows, it's kind of hard to figure out how they're feeling.
Yeah, it really is. It gives a lot of facial expression, and like you like. And even with people who draw their own on there, it'd be like, oh, she looks pissed, or he looks pissed, because
exactly,
you know, either they think that is sexy, or it's whatever it is that they wanted. That's how they, you know.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that there's a certain thing of how you want to look, right?
Yes and no. Like it's all subjective because eyebrows are like any other trend. They change throughout time.
Okay.
You know, somebody who starts out thin at first might want to go thicker over time. So that's the beauty of cosmetic tattooing, is that, you know, with the concept of tattooing, people think that it's permanent, but it's technically semi-permanent because there's certain inks that you use that have a different mixture than standard body tattooing that allows fading to occur over time, so then that way you do have the option of changing the tattoo as opposed to committing for this look forever.
Right.
And more often than not, there's a lot of people who have had their eyebrows tattooed and are not happy with the way that it looks. Like, if I describe it to you, I'm sure you've seen it, but it's usually like, if brows were once brown, they fade. With old tattoo ink, it'll fade to an oxidized red, or you'll see brows that used to be like a very, like almost like a black, that fade to like a purple/gray/blue look.
So people think that maybe you have burgundy hair from afar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thankfully the industry's come a long way, and there's companies out there that provide inks and supplies that make it very easy to allow that change in the future. So that way you're not committed to something that you might not like.
Right.
You know, even though in theory something that's permanent sounds great, but in reality it's not.
So the two things that you actually have available, or thing that you actually do, you can actually do the tattooing of an eyebrow, or you can do the microblading. Is that right? Or is it?
It's like a gray area because it is technically a tattoo.
Right.
When you're putting pigment into the skin, it's a tattoo, no matter what the approach is. It's just, you have to like explain to the client, like, microblading is a different technique. It's still cosmetic tattooing. We're still putting color into the skin, but it's going to be a lot more of a conservative approach. Okay. Yeah. Which I tell my clients, because it's a two-step session, conservative is key. You can always do more during your follow-up than do too much the first time around, and then be apprehensive about the follow-up because you think you went too cold or too thick or too dark the first time around. So I've just learned in my apprenticeship and just in my professional career.
Right.
Slow and easy does the trick with this.
I'm gonna go back for a second.
Sure.
So you're in Cali. You're 21. You're miserable. You wanted a change.
Yes.
Okay. You went directly to removal of tattoos.
Yes.
Why?
That's an actual song.
So
because you could have done the opposite.
And it's like,
meaning,
it could be from,
you could have been a tattoo artist.
I was dating a tattoo artist.
There's always an underlying.
So here's the thing is, when I tell people my story, I would always include that part, but I didn't like adding it to my story because I don't like to breathe life into something that doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
So I try to keep it out because it's relevant, but it's also like, does it really need to be in there? It's like, nah.
And the weird thing is, like, I don't know if this is the first time you ever left it out. But
no,
like,
I always leave it out.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because I'm like, what am I breathing life into this? He doesn't need
No, but the thing is, like, my mind goes to so many different ways. But like, okay, wait, she wanted to, like, she just told me that she has a great image of how to draw, how to do this before she even knew she could do it.
Why would she do removal then?
Why would she get paid for it? I'm like, hold on, let's move the fuck back for a second, okay? So no, but if we can leave it out if you want to.
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay.
We can keep it in there, but I found the pamphlet at the tattoo shop that he was working at.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the reason why I went for removal was because it seemed like a very promising industry.
Okay.
Because the tattooing industry has come a long way in terms of the creative works.
Yeah.
And people, because of TV shows like Ink Master, people have a better idea of what's good and what's not.
Right.
So people want good work, but that requires removal of the bad work. So that's why my brain went to tattoo removal. Because sure, I could have been interested in tattooing, but at the time I wasn't even confident in myself. Well, I couldn't even fathom being confident enough to put something permanent in somebody's body.
But why, if you already had a talent to do something so good since before you were even remembering you were doing it, where did the lack of confidence come from?
From childhood.
Say more.
So childhood, because I had, so my father was very supportive of me being creative.
Okay.
He was always down for me watching Bob Ross and loved Bob Ross growing up. But my problem, I don't really want to say problem, but the thing was, he didn't know how. How are you gonna give constructive criticism to a toddler when they're barely just learning how to color in their lines? And he's like, no, like this tree needs to look like that. That bird needs this. That's
So
not a
you
real
would-
sun.
So you would watch Bob Ross and see how great he was teaching you, but then you had an actual in-person experience of a live person telling you it's wrong.
Yes.
That has got to fuck your head up.
100%. So it, like, and what's worse is the person who's encouraging me to do it is also the person who is making me feel insecure about it at a young age. The ironic thing is, I excelled in all my art classes. All my art classes.
Duh. Like
The only time I've ever gotten an A++ in my academic career was my first grade art class, when I had a project where I had to create an animal using colored tissue paper, and I made a lionfish. And it was,
you made a lionfish.
Yes, and it was my only A++ I ever had.
Lionfish. Wait, hold on. Hold the fucking phone for 2 moments, okay?
Sure.
If you made a lionfish, what part was which?
What do you
Was
mean?
it was the face a fish and the rest was a lion? Or you mean the actual lionfish?
actual
Okay, I'm thinking as a young kid, you make like a liger. Come on, man.
Okay, fair.
Come on, man.
So in all fairness, the art teacher had a bunch of National Geographic magazines. So
Okay.
she's like, have at it. And I was like, I like that one.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
All right.
So I've always had, a sketch pad. I've always doodled. But through the years, I would do less and less. But when it came to my parents divorcing, I almost stopped entirely.
Okay.
And then I didn't really pick it back up again until maybe about a few months after I started dating my ex, the tattoo artist. And he's like, why don't, he asked me to draw with him one day, and I was like, I was just very insecure, and I was like, I don't want to, I don't think I can. It ended up being a few hours that we were doing it together, and he would also be, he was the one that would encourage me to draw more, so I started to. But it got to a point where I think because of my past experiences with a male in my life trying to help me, that my brain was just automatically conditioned to think any criticism he gives me is going to affect me the same way that it did when I was younger.
In a negative way.
Yes.
Right.
So I really I tried to draw here and there, and it was definitely something that I enjoyed doing, but it was kind of hard to remove any emotions from it,
Right.
because of just naturally being triggered, so to say. So when my ex and I actually came back from California, there was a time where I was doing permanent cosmetics part-time, and I was working for an oil company. And literally I thought working for a bank was working for the devil. Working for an oil company is so much worse.
Believe that.
It's horrible. So he gave me the opportunity to apprentice under him.
Okay.
And it was nerve-wracking but exciting, but then the criticism started to come into play again, where he would critique my work, and I guess there's this stigma behind being an apprentice in the tattoo industry, where it's you kind of get tossed around, not tossed around, but treated like crap, and you get talked down to, and that's part of I guess part of the process of becoming a tattoo artist, is building that thick skin and understanding that you ain't shit when you first start. So you have to be, I don't want to say abused, that's way too strong of a word, but you have to be talked down to, and feeling like crap.
belittled pretty much.
Yeah. So there were times where he would look at my work and he would say something, and again, like, unfortunately, I would start taking things personal. And he would tell me, he's like, look, like, I'm being as nice to you as I can, even though he kind of wasn't, you know, because of that idea, like, oh, well, I'm your mentor and you're my apprentice. I'm going to talk down to you like this because this is how you're going to get better. And it was just, I got way too emotional over it. And I felt like I couldn't invest the time or energy that I needed to get better.
He's
So, because I was learning, you know, I just started doing permanent cosmetics, and I felt like I was still learning a lot. So I was like, I can't commit to two different things right now because I feel like I'm half-assing both of them.
right.
So I stuck with permanent cosmetics because at least, like, I knew what I learned. Like, I was in that classroom, not my ex. So it's not like he could tell me what was right and what was wrong. So shortly after, things ended, and I moved back to my hometown, and I started from the ground up. And I was doing permanent cosmetics as full-time as I could be, but with any, you know, as any entrepreneur, any business owner, starting from zero is really challenging. And to get up from there, it takes a while. So
I got the beat too.
it took me a bit before I was able to make it my only source of income. But I told myself, like, I don't care what it's going to take. I need to do that because now that I work for myself, I can't imagine working for anybody else anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I already have a problem with authority.
Yeah. She's like, and I left that behind me, so yeah, we don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been doing this 6 years, and I'm at a point now where I can comfortably do cosmetic tattooing and put my energy into my other works of art, whether it's like painting for myself or if I'm doing commissions. Like, I've gotten much better, and working at the tattoo shop that I've been for the past 6 years, I'm surrounded by a group of very loving, very talented individuals that want nothing for the best for each other, and to be surrounded by that kind of positivity and that creativity is just like so stimulating.
It's really weird that people allow themselves to stay in situations that, like, the people around them have gotten used to beating people down to where it makes them feel amazing, right? The ego inside of them makes it feel like it's okay. You know, we're teaching these people, but in reality, the same shit has probably happened to them. That's why either, in my opinion, either you flee from it or you run to it. If that experience usually happens to you, you know what I mean? And those kind of people, usually that's what they do. They hammer down on other people to make themselves feel better about it. It's almost like a bully.
Yeah.
If you get bullied enough, you're going to bully somebody else, so you don't feel that pain anymore. But when you have a different surrounding, like you said, like a loving surrounding, it's fucking game changer, and you really don't understand it until you have it. Because when you have it, it's just like, okay, what is going on here? Like, this is what we do. You'd be like, what do you mean? Because you don't hear the criticism of a disrespect of criticism. You know what I mean? You hear the, hey, try this time. You know what I mean? Or, you know, it helps a lot around the edges doing it this way. It's like, all right, at least in my opinion. And then, oh, okay, not so much like you're doing it fucking wrong, asshole. You know,
100%.
like, yeah, like.
That's the kind of love and support that I get from the shop. And even then, when I first started working there, I felt like I was burdening them with like any questions that I had about any works of art. And they're like, no, ask us whatever.
Because you're too nice, right?
I don't like to think that I am.
She's like, I'm kind of a bitch.
Listen,
No.
But that's the thing is, like, I am. I had to learn to be nice because I was such a
It happens though. Hey, look.
I have a balance now. You know, it comes out when it needs to. I don't think it was because I was nice. I think it was just because I was timid.
No, I thought you guys were
Felt like I was bothering, you know, my coworkers.
Yeah.
But they were nothing but showing me love the whole time. So they were very motivating. Like some of the artists there have been tattooing for as long as I've been alive.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Those are the people you want to learn from, you know?
So, you know, especially they're telling me like, yeah, how long you been tattooing for? And it's that good, you're fine. I'm like, okay,
That's pretty good. Yeah, it makes you feel like you like, it's almost like when you find that flute in Mario Brothers, okay? And you skip all the lands and all the worlds and you end up in like, I think it's world 9. Okay,
Okay.
you're past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're a 9, and you're just like, oh, okay. So don't. I'm above all the rest. We're doing good here, you know. Yeah, it's amazing because it's happened to me too. Like as well, people were like, hey, did you ever play football in high school? I'm like, no. You went to college? No. But I was too afraid back then to do that because I had insecurities that I listened to, you know what I mean? So I never tried out for this team or that team. But I had the talent. You had the talent. Same thing. And people are like, yo, you're fine. Like, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're good. And that reassurance is like amazing. You know what I mean?
It is, especially when it's like coming from somebody or from people that you look up to.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, no, you got it. You just gotta keep doing it. And that's it.
Yeah. And you're never going to be perfect, but the more you practice, the more people are going to get, they're going to keep coming to you and to you. And I think the biggest challenge possibly, in my opinion, in that field could probably be things that you've never ever had to do. And people are like, hey, I kind of want this and nobody else can do it. And I heard that you are, you know what I mean? Like the best, and you're just like challenge accepted, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing that so far in the tattoo shop that you've had to take on?
How to politely decline something that I don't want to do. Just because I am at a point in my career. So with cosmetic tattooing, that's my bread and butter, right? So when it comes to body tattooing, I'm still as equally passionate about it. But it's more so like a side hustle right now, for the time being, because I'm still practicing, I'm getting better, but because I don't rely on it as a main source of income,
right,
and because I already have such limited availability, I have the liberty to pick the ideas that I want to do, because at the end of the day, that's my time that I'm giving up. I used to have days off. I don't really have them anymore.
That is such a great t-shirt. I used to have days off.
So
that's awesome.
So yeah, if I, Sundays used to be my day off, and now I spend it tattooing 2 appointments a day for the next few months. And if it's something, that's going to take up my time, it's going to be something that I want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And more often than not, it's people that have been supporting me for years, that have been wanting to support me. Like, let's say, for example, like, I tattooed earlier today a childhood friend of mine who I actually have not seen since high school.
Okay.
And he's been telling me for a while, like, I want to support you, but, I want to buy a painting, but I don't know what I want to get, such and such. I obviously don't need my eyebrows done. He's like, I see that you're starting to tattoo. He's like, how would you feel about doing this on me? And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I can show you what I did on him. I did a ram skull on him, a black and gray ram skull. I've never really done one in my life, but that's
pretty dope.
Today. Yeah.
Now, how long does it take to like, off the bat, somebody shows you this and you have to obviously freehand it, right? Or how does that go?
No, so I wish I could get, I'm getting to a point where maybe in the future I can freehand.
Okay.
But with the advice that I'm giving now, I'm being told that you want to do the best possible tattoo you can do, even if that means keeping it simple.
Okay. Yeah.
Because your job is to just make sure that the image is readable. Don't go so crazy with like taking the risk on doing something different. I'm not there yet, and I won't be for a while.
Right.
So right now, my main focus is to just make sure things stay clean and that things are easy to read.
Okay.
So I have the ideas, right? And I use this program called Procreate that's you can use on the iPad, tablet, and essentially it's like a digital drawing pad. And it really is such a huge time saver. At first I was so against it because there's something about like being able to use paper and pen to draw. Kind of like how people, like there's some people that weren't into audiobooks at first, or the Kindle, because they're like, no, I like that physical book.
I do.
Right?
Yeah,
There's something
I'm
about
the same
it.
way. Yeah.
So I was so against it for so long, but then I was like, shit, I don't want to erase this a million times. Now, like, you know, the paper's all ripped up. There's smudge marks everywhere. Like, this app is amazing because I can just take the pen, the Apple Pen, and just hit the eraser, and then it just wipes it off, no problem. And if I want to bring it back, I can press redo. It's perfect. It's so convenient.
Yeah. Like you actually dug into the app itself, and you were just like, "Holy shit, maybe I was wrong." Like,
Yeah. Thankfully, now I'm with somebody who has been a tattoo artist for 15 years and is extremely supportive of me and my creative journey, and is giving me all sorts of advice. And he was one that really sat down with me to teach me more about this app, because at face value, like, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, it's like really, at least for me, it's discouraging, because I just think like the minute I do something, I can do it right the first time. It's like, no, it takes practice. Okay. Let's be real. And patience, which I lack. Something I work on every day.
You know what? It's not easier with everybody with a phone in their hand either, because you get answers on the money right away, right? Like that's what we have now. You want the answer? Google it.
Exactly.
You want this? You got it.
Yeah.
One-click shipping? Let's do it. Like Amazon Prime, we have grown in a system where we get answers now. And now we are entitled to that.
Yeah. That's it's so true, especially with inquiries. When people reach out to me, they expect an answer like within the hour. I'm like, I'm working. It's called boundaries.
You gave me an inquiry, but if I can't get to you, that means I'm actually doing somebody's inquiry.
Something right now. I wish I could get to you, but I'm busy.
That's crazy.
But so I have the design, put it on this app to help just create the image. So the client comes in, show them the final image. As long as they're happy, we start coming up with a stencil. Find the placement for where we're going to tattoo it. Depending on what the design is, it could take longer to set up for the tattoo than the tattoo itself. Or it could take a few hours, it could take a few sessions. I mean, right now I'm currently getting my entire arm done, and it's been
I saw
project.
you just been doing like different cartoon things, right? Or like, didn't you do Felix the Cat recently?
I did, but I mean in terms of me as a client, I'm getting my sleeve done, and we started in September.
It takes time.
And it takes time. So it's not just like there's people that exist out there that walk into a shop and think that they can walk out with a sleeve by the end of the day. It's like, that's not how it works.
And the thing is, like, the weird thing is, I've heard people that have said before, like, oh, like, I think you could just do it in a day. I'm like, dude, you want your whole arm done.
What do you know?
Yeah, like, and the weird thing is, like, you're not taking in consideration if they're getting tired, if you're getting tired, you know what I mean? Because you're the one. He might be sitting there taking the pain, but you have to make sure that the pain is worth it. So you, like you just said, you have to make sure everything is simple, so it's good. You know what I mean? So you actually have to put into work to make sure of that. Now you have to make sure that you're putting it on skin. You can't fuck up.
Yeah. So patience is key.
Which you lack. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm certainly working on it. I've come a very long way.
That's cool,
though.
though.
For me, it's patience mostly for myself.
Yeah.
Because I expect things to like just be perfect from the start. And it's like, can you calm down? That's not how it goes.
So, all right. So, what do you mean by patience, though? What in you is impatient?
I don't know if it's going back to what we said about that instant gratification, that instant response. Maybe it's similar to that.
That's not your dog, right?
No, I thought it was him.
I was like, that's a loud one.
No, that's a human.
Yeah. I bet that. Okay. But did you have it when you were little?
Being impatient?
Yeah.
Yeah. So impatient in a sense that...
Never mind. Okay. We were way off.
Impatient that... Okay, impatient in a sense, in an emotional sense, in a mental sense.
Okay.
I'm very hot-headed, and I tend to just react very quickly and impulsively, whereas now I've just taken a moment to stop and process and think about what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
If I'm going to say anything at all. Because when I was younger, the idea of like, oh, well, I speak my mind, like, it's actually very toxic for yourself because you are acting on impulse, and it has a tendency of being led by emotions instead of just detaching yourself from the emotions and processing it logically and rationally, and then coming at it without any emotions.
Yeah, because you're never going to hand in the rough draft.
Exactly.
You know?
That, oh my God, I was telling my boyfriend that the other day because I was anticipating a conversation that needed to be had.
Right.
And I was talking to him about it first, and I was like, I obviously am not going to say this the way I'm telling you, you know, but I am giving you a rough draft. And then by the time that I come to the person I need to talk to about this, they're going to get the revised final copy that's polished.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want things to work out, you know, and before acting impulsively, speaking my mind, being so hot-headed, it was all because I was impatient, and mostly with myself.
Yeah. So, which one of your parents were hot-headed? Well, can we go back to your dad?
I think both of them were.
Were they? Okay,
Yeah,
so you were fucked. Like, damn.
No wonder why you're so damaged.
Look, I gotta go. No.
Here's my therapist's card.
Yeah.
Talk to her.
By the way, that was $67 for the hour. No, because it usually goes back to who you were raised by, or even, like, I've noticed some people that even if they weren't raised by their parents, if they were raised by their grandparents, they still hold on to maybe addictions that their parents had. You know what I mean? Like, my family, they drank, okay? I had to stop drinking. And I knew it, so I did, you know? Everybody else still drinks, and I can see it from afar that it's damaging, right? So that's why I asked that, all right, so which one, you know what I mean? But I kind of, in my head, I was like, I think it's your dad, because your dad had like that direct criticism, and maybe he did get more of a temper when you didn't do things exactly the way he did, you know?
My mom is hot-headed too, but I've learned to work with it.
Yeah.
She's remarkable. I mean, she's the only parent that I keep in contact with. She's got her own story, but when I took the time to really just reevaluate myself after my breakup with my ex, I did some serious like inner soul searching.
Yeah.
I basically had an opportunity to reset myself. I didn't like the old version. So I was like, what parts do you like? What parts don't you like? People around you, what do you like about them? What don't you like about them? What habits can you keep? What habits can you break? And there were parts of my mom that I see in me that I absolutely love, and I take that and I amplify it, you know, such as my work ethic. Like, that's 100% for my mother.
That's interesting that you say that.
Why?
Because people can always say that there's stuff that you'd be like, I love the fact that my mom or my dad does X, right? Nobody ever says, so I take that and amplify it. They just say they like this, and that's where I get it from. You just upped it a notch.
Yes, because from working at a bank and seeing people's financials background in front of me, I quickly learned the things that I needed to do to make sure that I never ended up in a position where I would be coming up to a teller window and being depressed about dividing up my paycheck and then barely having a penny left to my name.
Okay.
I was very observant, and I took that and applied it to other aspects of my life, such as things that I like from people and things that I don't, right? So with my mom, I observed that, like, yeah, she has an amazing work ethic and she hustles, but she also is burning herself out. and I didn't want that.
Right.
Another thing was her patience and just her being a hothead, and I saw it in me. I saw it in me at a very young age, and I thought it was awesome. And then when I got older, I was like, no, it's not going to work out for you.
We can't do this anymore.
No, we can't do this anymore.
It's exhausting too, isn't it?
It is. It's really exhausting, and I've got to dedicate my energy to other things that are going to help me grow instead of holding me back.
Right.
So the hot-headedness comes from both parents. It's just now, like, I've learned to channel it in other ways.
Okay.
Or just keep it within, but like in a healthy way, not in like a toxic way where it's like I'm holding things in, I'm not speaking my mind. It's just, no, I'm gonna process it first, and then I'll come back to you when I'm not upset, because you don't want to see me upset, and I don't want to be upset when I'm talking to you.
No, I don't want to be upset. So we're on the same page here, you know? Like, so let's get a little background on your parents. Where are they from?
They're from Chile.
Chile. Nice.
Sure.
Not chili.
Not chili.
Not like the pepper. But
not chili.
They did win the World Cup 8 years.
Did they?
I think it was.
I'm not into sports.
When they were, I don't even watch soccer. Okay, but when the World Cup comes on, I'll try to watch as many as I can, because I went to my first soccer match in New Jersey, but it was Colombia against Peru, and it's different from, like, I'll just run through this real quick. The NFL, America, right? Okay. People grab their beer, they walk like whatever, you know, not nonchalantly, okay? Like, these people are sprinting back to their seats, spilling their food, spilling their drink, because they have a country to represent. It's not like, this isn't just like, okay, we're gonna go to the bar after. No, this is like what they represent.
So much more.
Yeah. So the importance I understood about it, and they were such underdogs, and they won it. And I think it was like 8 years ago or something like that. And I was just like, wait, did they just come out of nowhere and just like beat the shit out of everybody?
Awesome.
And everybody's like, yeah, dude, like everybody lost so much fucking money because nobody expected them to win. And I was like, that's great. So yeah, sorry. Anyway.
No, you're fine.
Squirrel, you know.
No, so they're from Chile. They came here, I believe, in 89.
Okay.
1990, they had my brother. I was born 92. Sister came in 95.
Okay. They met in
Chile. So I'm first generation American.
So you still carry, like, you carry some heaviness to this.
Do I?
Yeah, think about it. Like, you are 100%, but also you are, like, kind of Americanized, right?
Yes. So with that, my mom coming to this country, she kept a very open mind, and she told me that when she came here with like a metaphorical white shirt, and she's like, I want to learn American culture. I want to raise my kids in America. I don't want to teach them, you know, Southern American culture or any of that. Like, otherwise I would have stayed there. She's like, but there's a reason why I left. She left because she was going to school for nursing, and there was only so much that Chile could offer.
Okay.
Whereas she knew if she came to the States that there was more opportunities for her.
Okay. She's
actually an Ivy League grad. So there's that.
No big thing.
No big thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Meanwhile, I didn't even finish community college, but that's besides the point. I'm like, I don't care. School's not for me. It just wasn't. But she had always been very supportive, and she was like, look, whatever you do in life, just make sure you're happy. That's it. She didn't try to press me one way or another. Oh, you need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. She was like, do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're first generation American. My first language, according to her, was technically Portuguese because we were raised around her Portuguese friends. Learned Spanish, and then in kindergarten up until 4th grade I took an ESL class, English as a second language. So this class basically made me forget all the Spanish that I learned, which sucks. Even now as an adult, I have to give a disclosure to any Spanish-speaking person. I'm like, I'm sorry if I am talking like an idiot. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
But they're very patient, and I guess I do much better than what I give myself credit for.
It's amazing, like what the mind does when you don't practice things. Right? You know what I mean? Like you can get rusty on stuff, even if it is a culture, even if it is whatever. You know, you stop. If you stop it, it will fade.
Exactly.
You know?
But yeah, so I had to take an ESL class, and this ESL class was always during like recess.
Oh, that's fucked up.
It is fucked up.
That's wow.
Because now looking in hindsight, I'm an introverted being. I'm normally I'm very private altogether. And when I was doing this inner soul searching, I was like, why am I the way that I am? And
is that your new book?
No, my book is called I Used to Have Days Off.
That's gonna be the shirt. Yeah, the new book now is, and it comes with a free shirt if you buy the book.
So I realized, I was like, wow, recess is crucial to a child's socializing, and I didn't really have any of that. And then on top of that, I'm trying to learn English, so it's like I had trouble connecting with my classmates, and even when there was an opportunity to connect with them, I was in a classroom watching literally my entire school out in recess having fun, and I'm in this room. A is for apple.
Hey.
Like, oh shit.
When the fuck can we get to R's for recess?
Yeah.
Like you're killing me right now.
And then like one day, I think every Friday they'd let us out 20 minutes early so we could go have fun with my classmates. But then it's like, oh, go figure, as soon as I run out, I have 5 minutes to go on the swings before recess is over. And I'm like, that's cool, I'll just go fuck myself.
So you had anxiety of getting, wait, hold on. I'm gonna do an assessment really quick,
Sure.
Okay? Do you wait to the last minute to do things sometimes?
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this, right?
Go for it.
Because you had to do it at recess.
Oh my god.
Right? You had to squeeze everything you had in the last 5 minutes of recess.
I guess, yeah. Fuck, I didn't even think about that one. It's because you never went to recess and you're a procrastinator.
Yeah. You never know. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm just saying. I'm telling you, a lot of things can result in things you don't even subconsciously know that you do. You know,
it's true. But that's why I felt so important to take that time to do some reflecting and be like, why do you do these things?
Yeah.
Why are you so reserved? Why don't you talk to people?
I'm huge I'm both though. It's been a while since I saw, been to a party and everything. And last night I went to a small birthday party and everything was fine. It was great seeing everybody and I get along with everybody. Mm-hmm. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't stop, but on my way up and I was just I got nervous for a second because it's been a while. Like I said, you don't practice something, you're not with people a lot, and I have been I love being in my own thoughts. Mm-hmm. Okay, but that could be toxic. That could be, if you're not thinking about the right things, if you're not pushing yourself to be better, Mm-hmm. So the past year-ish,
since COVID,
around that, yeah. But the thing is, my life has not really changed so much. It's more like people are not around now because of that, mm-hmm. right? And that's fine, and I watch where I go and stuff like that. But in reality, I never really changed. I still go to work 6 days a week. I still do my exercises wherever I go to do it. You know what I'm saying? But that's all me being introvert, because I'm technically by myself when I'm working. So I'm in the truck by myself, doing all the stuff by myself, and just 2 other people I work with, and that's it. So it's a very tight knit. But when I go out, I can be the life of the party. When I used to get hammered, I used to be fucking Mr. Mayor. You know what I mean? You ever see those people that
yeah,
all of a sudden you're just all right,
who is this person?
It's he's going to talk to the old guy that comes here every Wednesday. Great, here we go. And it's just that's enrooted in the family too. We would do that, become fucking governor, Mm-hmm. And I was able to balance those two. And it.
Oh yeah.
So, I get it though. To be an introvert as well, I think it's important because I don't think people realize how much they can fix.
Yeah.
If you're not an introvert, you know what I mean. So,
true. I get to be social on my terms, which is great.
Yeah.
Like I had to be with work. I have to talk to my clients. I have to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So it forced, like you said, there's growth is awkward. Being like stuck in comfort, there's no growth in that. So I had to figure out ways to be social by means of interacting with my clients.
Yeah.
And obviously with practice, the more you do it, the better you get, the more easier it becomes. So nowadays, I'm very social. It's very easy for me to talk to somebody because I've been doing it for so long, but on the ways that benefit me. Like those, in like school, we had like those class presentations and you had to go up and present your project to a class. Like that did nothing for me except torment me because I was so introverted. I don't like to talk. When there was group projects, I would tell my teachers, do not put me in a group. I thrive when I'm alone. I always end up doing my projects alone.
See, I could do the group projects, but when it came time to present in front of I was like, I would shake. Oh yeah, it's exactly what it was. And then I knew just by like the flush of my face that I would turn beet red in front of everybody.
Yeah, you got pink undertones, so yeah.
It just happened, and I was just like. And I was like, all right, well, here we go, so, and then after a while, you practice, and all of a sudden you're cool with it, you're fine with it, you know what I mean? And there's nothing that can really shake it after you get used to it, because, you're there, that's it, and there's nothing else that's gonna, you know what I mean? So, sharing a lot on this podcast helps that. Because now people were like, I never knew X, Y, and Z about you. And I was like, don't really talk about it because I'm usually introverted. You know what I mean? But this is a way to
get it out there.
Yeah. And
it makes it easier to connect with people too.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more personable. And you're like, oh shit, we're not so different.
No, and I think people are afraid to have the conversation because of that awkwardness, because of that outside the bubble. The growth part, they don't want it.
I can't process that. Like, why not want to grow? You just have this life as far as you know.
Well, I think it's, maybe I said that wrong. Not that they don't want to grow, but more, they don't want the uncomfortable that comes with the growth.
Because it's unknown.
It's unknown, yeah. And fear of the unknown is like one of the biggest things. But I've had it. I still have it to this day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that is. There's still something in the back of my mind because I've been ingrained in my head, make sure you get a good job, okay? If you have a good job, make sure you keep it. Okay, cool. There was never any talk about, are you happy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now I'm the only person that speaks out with that into people in my own family. I'm not happy. So I'm changing that. You're making a mistake.
No.
Am I though? Like, I know you were taught one way, right? Like, those are hard conversations to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when they're ingrained in you that that's the key to success. But it's like, no, your happiness, I think, determines your success.
Yeah, and success is a different definition for everybody.
Yeah. That's the thing is, nobody's like this. Nobody fits in that cookie cutter, in that mold.
Yeah.
It's like this is what success looks like. It's so subjective.
So what is your definition of being successful?
Being free. In every sense of the word. When it comes to relationships, whether personal, romantic, professional, being free of financial burdens. Because again, I've seen for years like how it really just damages people and it just puts them in a mental state that I never want to be in.
Yeah.
Free to just do whatever it is I want to do.
Yeah.
Free to travel. I love traveling. Kind of sucks that I can't right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that.
Because there's something about when you travel, especially alone, that you are unlocking this part of yourself and this potential that you didn't even realize was there. Because I used to travel, I would deliberately travel alone. And as like a solo female, it is very risky. But I am very smart about it. but I would deliberately do these solo travels to just see what I was capable of doing.
Okay.
And I'm capable of a lot. There are people that, you know, I'll post on like Instagram that I'm out somewhere. Like this was pre-COVID, you know, that I'm out somewhere by myself, thousands of miles away. And I'll have my friends telling me like, how can you just do that by yourself? I could never. It's like, well, how do you expect to grow if you're not going to do that? Now,
It's true, though.
now, given again traveling as a female alone poses its own challenges always, even now.
Yeah.
But when I was doing it actively, like I loved it. I loved it because I could just be free to do whatever I want. And that's the other thing was like if I went with somebody, like, you know, I like being outdoors. I like sitting in stillness and silence. So if I'm like hiking somewhere, I'll sit on the same goddamn rock and look at a view for 4 hours straight. I don't give a shit. Whereas if I'm with somebody, you know, they could be there for 5 minutes, they grab their pictures and they're like, okay, I want to go. And it's like, no, that's not the point of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be here now.
You know what the thing is? I need that. Because I'm not, the weird thing is I'm not one to take pictures when I'm on a hike.
Good.
I am there to see it, right? I
With
do.
your own eyes.
But then sometimes my mind is like, okay, now let's go. Like I keep going and I keep going and I keep going and I'm like, okay, now we got to get back. And then the other part of my mind that's a little bit deeper though, it's not screaming out at me, but it's there, right? It's a little voice. It's like, you know, you don't have to rush home. You know what I mean? And that has taken so much time, just that part of my mind to come up and be like, dude, chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Because I was always, I have to go here, I have to go there, I have to go there, I have to go here. And it's just like, dude, relax. Like you said, you can sit in the same spot for however long. There's no rules to life. You do what you want. And either people are going to love you for it, or they're going to hate you for it, or people are going to be in between. But
However they feel about it, it's up to them.
exactly.
That's not my business.
Because you're not going to be thinking about it when you're 92 anyway.
yeah,
So if you're not going to be thinking about it then, why the fuck does it matter now?
literally.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to me, freedom is what's success to me.
That's a good one. Freedom is almost like a success question. Like the question I just asked you, right? What is success to you? That is a question on its own now. Like, what is freedom? And like you answered it, but some people, depending on culture, race, or whatever it is, it's completely different answers.
It's true.
You know, because in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, some people have been privileged a little bit more than others. And when you ask that question, the answer could be all the way up here, all the way down there.
Freedom could mean like I want to be able to go somewhere without being judged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody else could be like, well, I want enough money to get, you know, this mansion I've been trying to get. It's like, okay. Like, to me, that's very superficial. Like, that's not really freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's
that's
material.
Exactly.
And it's gonna end up owning you. Don't let it own you.
Yeah, don't go down the same road that King Tut did, okay? He could take nothing with him, okay? So,
Go ahead, sorry.
no, you're good. Based upon those places that you've gone, what is one place that you still want to go to that you haven't been able to go to?
New Zealand.
Good call.
Always been number one, and this was pre-COVID.
Okay.
Like it has nothing to do with like their numbers or any of that.
Right.
New Zealand, because of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, everything was filmed there.
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
I remember watching The Lord of the Rings in the movie theaters, and when I put two and two together that New Zealand is a real place, that this isn't just animated, you know, on a green screen, I was like, I need to go and see that. What are you telling me? That this place, which essentially is like heaven to me, if such a thing exists, it's New Zealand.
Tell me that those views don't make everybody else look tiny. Yeah.
I'm telling you, my mouth dropped. Like at 9 or 10 years old when I watched the movie, I'm like, I'm sorry, this is real. This exists. I need to go see it.
Yeah, it is, because I was never into those I wasn't big on reading. Okay, I really wasn't. It took me a long time to read my first book. And then my buddy was like, dude, you should read this. And he gave it to me. I was like, put it to the side, because there's a lot of them too. And I'm just like, I can't. I'm like, dude, I am not, my mind goes everywhere. Okay.
It takes me like 5 tries to read the same sentence. That's where my brain goes.
Yeah, I can't. Like, unless, the only thing that ever got me, and I'm tracking off here, but the only one book that got me was this book called The Shack. And it's a crazy book that it has so much detail in it that it takes a mind like mine to be like, okay, there's so much emphasis on every single image that it gives you literally a full picture. And I'm like, holy shit, this is one book that I couldn't stop reading. Awesome. Because you had so many different ways of describing one thing that was like the first book that I was like, wow.
I didn't read The Lord of the Rings.
The golf.
Just to make that clear, it was just the movies. But with the way that you're describing the book Misery by Stephen King, that's what did it for me. When he's talking about how, I can't remember it
was in detail.
It was so in detail. Like the movie doesn't even come close. Like, have you seen the movie?
Yeah. That was on actually recently, within the past month. It was weird.
Kathy Bates' character puts I can't remember the name of the characters, but the author.
Yeah.
She cuffs him to the bed, right? And she ends up putting a wood block between his ankles, and then takes a sledgehammer and fucking breaks his ankles with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And then ends up putting gasoline on his feet and then lights his feet on fire. But you don't see that in the movie. But the way he's describing it in the book, I could literally smell it. I was like, holy shit. That book was so good. Just how detailed and descriptive, and you could just see it.
So my thing is, why the fire?
She was fucking crazy.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
She didn't want him to leave.
No, I think we got that. I think we get that. No,
I think just to add literal insult to injury.
I would say this, with that movie, like, I didn't read the book, right? But you got me thinking now. I think first basis of watching the movie, right, knowing that that's the only thing I knew that there was a book, I didn't by any means read it. Kathy Bates played that psycho amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's I don't want to say she's underrated, because I have a feeling that people understand how good she is, but I don't think she gets enough attention for it. You know? Yeah. And James Caan.
That's his name. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what his
name in the book. I can't remember him.
Yeah, me either. This is Mary? No, hers wasn't Mary, was it? I don't think it was. But regardless, like, he played the typical New Yorker, got to get away from, New York City to go wherever and write my books and stuff like that. And he did it perfectly. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, when she went apeshit, and she was like, "Oh yeah, everything's good," and all of a sudden when it starts
dirty bird,
yeah,
bird.
My penguins always face south. Like, I was like, "Oh shit, you are fucked, bro!" Like, yeah, dirty bird. That is a great pickup, because as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh shit, the old school like bitch is about to come out." Like,
yeah.
But like, old school movies like that are amazing, and I never got into the Lord of the Rings stuff. Like, I never actually were into like Dungeons, Dragons, and like fight scenes and stuff like that until I watched it. And when I watched it, I was like, this is something I can't stop watching. And then the second one came out, and I was like, and I thought the second one was even better than the first one. And the third one was great. It was really long, but it was still great. Okay. But I still hold to the Two Towers. I think Two Towers.
Why the Two Towers?
I think because Legolas and the dwarf were counting how many people they killed.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And they were just like Legolas was a monster. Okay, like, that guy was a beast. Like, he would hit the arrow, right? pull it out of you and then reuse it. I'm like, yo, that's a fucking animal right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like there was something about that I think there were more battle scenes in that, and the way that they prepared for certain things. And
yeah, the battle at Helm's Deep was intense.
Is that that's what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, it's like I guess people were comparing the final battle in Game of Thrones to that. And now, granted, I watched Game of Thrones up until season 8.
Okay.
And literally the episode before the main fight, and I just lost interest. I was like, you guys are taking too long. I don't fucking care anymore. I swear. Yeah.
Impatience.
I was like, you could have done this a long time ago. What do you mean we still haven't seen the fucking dragons? What do you mean?
I've seen Game of Thrones half episode.
You're good.
And the thing was, like, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But for some reason, I was like, maybe I was tired or whatever, but I was like, yeah, just. And there's
that guy's banging his sister? Alright, whatever.
Now I need to watch it. Like, now I need to watch it. No, and I don't know why. I just didn't fall into it or whatever it was, but it's, I guess it's selective, right? Like, it's. Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's so funny how I literally got up to the episode before the big battle, and I was like, I don't care anymore.
Wow, that's almost like The Sopranos, like right before the last episode. You're like, yeah, I'm good, guys.
Whatever.
You know,
we can stop it here.
I'm gonna go to the bar.
Stopped it a few seasons ago.
Yeah. My buddy actually started watching. I guess I'd never really watched The Sopranos. He said it was an amazing show. He's big into, directors and stuff like that, and he was like, dude, I keep learning more every time I watch it. Like, there's more point of views that I see that I never actually saw back then. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope. So I get that. But yeah, Lord of the Rings definitely took a turn in my life. Like when I saw it and my buddy introduced me to it, and I was like, there's more than just Dungeons and Dragons and this and that. There's the plot itself put together was very well thought out.
The hero story.
Yeah. Another movie that I actually loved was Avatar, right? Mm-hmm. And James Cameron, not that I was huge into, all these people and stuff like that, but he said he had these characters mapped out in 1970s.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have the technology. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. Imagine, like, you having an idea for 30 years, 35 years, or I forget how long, whatever it was, and then finally having the technology to get done. How many updates do you think happened with these characters, through 30 years?
It's a really good question. I do remember him saying that like he's had the idea for so long, but technology had to come to a certain point where it was finally able to manifest his idea. And even then, I thought Avatar was amazing. It's really good.
It took you, they said that there was a test, or, what's the word I'm looking for? A study that was done to where people were depressed after they watched the movie because the standard of that movie was so high of a different world that people actually could go into from their actual life. So they became avatars, and when you did watch the movie, it was sparkly, it was
beautiful.
Yeah.
God, that world was amazing.
And then you left it, and I was like, I never fucking thought of that. And they said people got depressed, and the studies have shown that people were depressed after watching that movie. And I was like, that's because they were in such a high. And I was like, that's nuts. That's nuts that a movie can do that.
Sure. Yeah.
I understand that there's subliminal messaging. I understand that there's subconscious shit and everything like that that can make you think certain things, and music and TV, all that shit. But to actually have a movie like that, hit like that, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh.
It's over?
Yeah, exactly. Like, shit, what do we do now? Because
I'm trying to think if there's a movie like that for me. I'm really not. Maybe Star Wars when I was younger.
I never got into the whole Star Wars bit. Not that I'm anti-Star Wars, right?
You just never got into it?
No, I just thought for some reason, my dad was big into the Star Trek, Star Wars thing, because that was their first type of space. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I get that, but The story behind Star Wars is pretty dope, though. I'll say that.
It's a pretty generic one, but yeah.
You think about it, yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's like nobody's done that with like this dude walking around in a black full attire with a helmet.
Yeah. The scene in episode 5 where there's an Imperial on the planet Hoth. There's an Imperial walker that gets taken down by a snowspeeder that wraps like a tie, like a rope around its legs, and then flies off. And then the Imperial walker goes diving into the snow. That is my first conscious recollection as a child. Like my first memory as a kid was watching that scene.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. So I must have seen that when I was like 1 or 2, because my mom had the biggest crush on Harrison Ford. So by
Welcome
default,
to the club. Right? Like, everybody's there.
So by default, we were watching Indiana Jones. We were watching Star Wars. So she had episode 5 on, and I just so very vividly remember that scene because I was just like, oh my god, what? He wrapped a piece of string around this bot and then it just fell into the ground and it just exploded.
Harrison Ford.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so she liked him in like what 7 Days, 7 Nights.
She probably liked him in everything.
Yeah.
Even that movie, What Lies Beneath, where he plays the bad guy of that
Michelle
one
Pfeiffer.
time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie.
It is a really good movie.
There was a 7 Days, 7 Nights was with him and whoever the guy was that played Ross and
David Schwimmer.
That's right. Schwimmer. And whoever Ellen dated.
Whoever Ellen dated?
Yeah, she was Ellen's. She's gay. I think she's
Her wife?
married to her.
Portia?
Portia. She was in it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't bad. They got stuck on an island and stuff like that. He was a pilot.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Yeah. How'd your dad feel about that? About Harrison Ford?
Honestly,
He worked out every day. No.
Whatever way he felt, I'm sure my family and I couldn't care less.
It's Harrison Ford, okay?
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. We gotta protect him at all costs now. Like, I heard that Disney's trying to make another Indiana Jones movie with him in it, and I'm like...
Is that a green pig on top of his...
It is.
Nice and random. Sorry. Okay.
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
This is random fucking
Pig.
green pig. Okay. That's pretty dope. I actually did have a really good question, but that fucking pig just took it out of me. I do not
So
remember
about
it.
Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
my father's thoughts on my mom having a crush on
And you
Harrison
did not
Ford,
give
and
a
none of
shit.
us caring.
Yeah. Oh, there was a movie that was on yesterday, and it was actually very, very interesting. It's called Arrival.
Yes.
You see
Yes.
this? Okay.
Oh my god, that movie's so good.
I was absolutely tired when I turned this on, right? And I was just like, whatever, okay, I'm gonna throw it on. Started watching it and I was like, okay. And then when I started seeing the vocabulary of aliens, nobody's actually ever put a vocabulary in a movie for aliens. It hit me and I was like, all right, I'm in. Like, because now you're showing me words that I want to figure it out. You're allowing me to figure it out for the movie.
It's almost like interactive in a sense.
Yeah.
And they end up misunderstanding a word and thinking like one word actually meant weapon. So they're like, oh, it means deploy weapon. And it ended up meaning something completely different.
Yeah, okay, and they were trying to say whether it meant a tool or a weapon.
Yes.
And it's crazy because I think that is a simple misunderstanding just in general between people today.
Yeah.
Saying one thing and interpreting it something completely different.
Oh my god, miscommunication.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you 2 questions and then I'm gonna close it up. Okay. One is, where do you see yourself in 7 years?
7 years, not 5? Why 7 and not 5?
Because 5 years is long enough and not long enough for you to say, I can't do that in 5 years. So if I give you an extra 2, you could extend more on it and actually think that you could do more in 7.
That's fair, because it took me 6 years to be where I want to be.
Awesome.
And now that I am where I want to be, I think I've just been kind of marinating in it and enjoying it, that I haven't really processed where the next 7 are going to be. Because I just want to take a moment to enjoy
That's cool.
all the hard work that got me here.
Absolutely.
That's a good question. I'm going to start thinking on it, because I really I have not thought about it. I've just been really reaping the rewards of all the hard work that I've been putting in, and just enjoying the life that 5-6 years ago, the life that I wanted is very much the life that I have now.
Just remember, and this is something that I've started to understand, okay, that every time somebody asks you a question, they ask it for themselves. So if I ask you that question, I generally want to know, okay? Mm-hmm. For them, it's an answer to piggyback so that they can start their journey.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are lost,
People just like talking about themselves.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just
I guess it's why podcasts exist.
Kinda, yeah. Actually, a funny story. I had I almost made the radio gig, and when I found out I didn't get the job, it was a blessing in disguise, because I was just like, I don't want to talk about the news. I don't want to talk about all the other bullshit. I want to find out and I don't want 7 to 6 minutes to find out who you are. I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not possible. Because if I ask you a question that's gonna trigger a memory,
How are you gonna do that in 5 to 6 minutes?
I want a 19-minute answer,
Yeah.
and the airtime isn't gonna give me that. You have to pay for that.
Yeah.
So this is free. You know what I mean? And that's great. And what is parting words that you would tell to people on a daily basis if you were to never see somebody again, and there was one thing that you could say to them? What would it be?
That's a good question. Just one thing?
It doesn't have to be a phrase, but it could be something that you want them to remember.
It's so cliche, but honestly, I would probably say just trust the process. Whatever that means to you, just trust it. Things aren't going to happen overnight, but if you're putting an honest effort into whatever it is that you want, there's the process that's along the way that's going to teach you and get you to where you want to be. So just trust it.
That's good. It's not as cliche as you think, though. I mean, it is, but it's not, because I don't think.
Easier said than done.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's easier said than done, because mentioned a few times on the podcast. Yesterday was actually my 6-year anniversary since I got my certifications.
Oh, sweet.
Same day that I graduated this program, Apollo and I, my ex, took my Volkswagen Beetle and we drove cross country back home. And I don't remember. I mean, I do remember in a literal sense my life before that, but I really felt like that was the first day of the rest of my life, was that day that I graduated and I physically left California to come back home.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of failures, but you just have to keep going, because what is a life that doesn't consist of doing what you love? As Alan Watts once said, better to have a short life that is full of what you love doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And I'm like, holy shit, that is so true.
That's great. That is amazing, actually.
Because even when I think about it now, if for some reason, I cease to exist whenever, I had one hell of an awesome time. I loved it. I fucking loved every minute of it. All the fucking challenges, all the obstacles, all the rejections, all of it. I got what I wanted.
I have to go. We have to leave now. I have to leave. We have to leave now. I have to go. Go.
Bye-bye.
Well, see you later.